Have you ever felt the forest watching you? A night so silent, yet alive with whispers. Follow Kanya into the shadows and experience the terror and courage of a night that refuses to end. The night was still. The moon hung low, its pale light barely cutting through the dense fog. Every tree around the small clearing swayed slightly in the cold breeze. Leaves rustled softly, like whispers in an empty hall. Kanya walked slowly along the narrow path. Her feet pressed into the wet grass, sending tiny droplets of water into the air. She could feel the dampness seeping through her shoes. Her breath formed small clouds that disappeared quickly into the darkness. A sudden snap of a twig made her heart leap. She turned sharply, eyes searching the shadows. Nothing moved, only the faint hum of the night surrounded her. The forest seemed alive. Shadows stretched long and strange shapes formed in the corners of her vision. She could hear her own heartbeat, loud and uneven. Every step forward felt heavier than the last. A strange chill ran down her spine. It was not the cold. It was the feeling of being watched. The sensation made her skin crawl. In the distance, a faint echo carried through the trees. It was soft at first, almost a murmur. Then it grew louder, a repeated tapping sound. Kanya froze. Her mind raced. The sound came closer with each beat of her heart. She tried to call out, but her voice caught in her throat. The forest swallowed her words. The tapping changed, sharper now, uneven, like footsteps but not human. Every nerve in her body screamed to run. The mist thickened, curling around the trunks and roots. Her vision blurred. Shapes formed and dissolved in the fog. One shadow lingered longer than the others. It moved differently. Her hands shook as she gripped the edge of a tree for support. The tapping stopped. Silence descended, heavy and oppressive. Kanya strained her ears. A soft whisper reached her, almost carried by the wind. The words were unintelligible, yet filled her with dread. She stumbled backward, her foot hitting a hidden root. Pain shot up her leg, but she barely noticed. The whisper grew louder, circling her, surrounding her. Suddenly, a figure appeared ahead. Tall, dark, and unmoving. No face, only shadow. The hair of the trees swayed around it, yet it remained rigid. Kanya wanted to scream, yet nothing came out. The air was thick, heavy with a strange metallic scent. Her chest tightened. She could feel her pulse racing in her ears. The shadow tilted its head slowly. The tapping returned, louder, echoing from all directions. Kanya's vision tunneled. Every instinct told her to run, but her legs would not obey. A low, guttural sound joined the tapping. It was close now, just beyond the mist. The figure moved, not walking, but gliding over the ground. Her mind screamed for escape. Her lungs burned as she tried to breathe. The whispering became words. Clear now, deliberate, chilling. Kanya. Her name echoed in the darkness. She did not recognize the voice. It was not human, yet it knew her. The mist parted for the shadow, revealing eyes glowing faintly in the pale moonlight. Fear rooted her to the spot. Every shadow in the forest seemed to stretch toward her. The tapping, whispering, and low sound combined into a crescendo. She realized she was not alone. Something moved behind her, faster than thought. A cold hand brushed her shoulder. Kanya spun around. Nothing was there, only the echoes. The forest seemed endless. Every step forward led deeper into darkness. The whispers followed her, each one repeating her name. A branch cracked sharply. She stumbled into a clearing. The shadow stood in the center. Eyes locked on her. A wind swept through the trees, carrying a faint, metallic scent. Again, the whispers grew urgent. She could feel the weight of unseen eyes pressing down. Suddenly, the shadow stretched toward her. Not with arms, but with the darkness itself. It moved like liquid, wrapping around the clearing. The tapping sounded directly behind her. Kanya spun again. Her legs gave way. She fell to the wet ground. The darkness moved closer. Closer. She felt the cold seep into her skin, into her very bones. The whispers changed. No longer her name. Now, a warning. Something she could not understand. The shadow enveloped her vision. And the forest held its breath. Kanya lay on the damp ground, shivering. The shadow spread like ink across the clearing. It swallowed the moonlight, leaving only darkness around her. Her eyes darted wildly. Shapes formed in the mist. Some were tall, thin, and leaning, others crouched low, barely visible. The air smelled of wet earth and something metallic, sharp, and bitter. A voice whispered again. Not her name this time. Words she could not understand. They curled around her mind, twisting her thoughts. She tried to rise, but her legs refused to obey. Panic tightened its grip. Her chest heaved as if the forest itself pressed down upon her. Every heartbeat felt like it would burst from her chest. A twig snapped behind her. She whipped her head around. Nothing. Yet the sound had weight. A presence lingered there. The shadow in the clearing began to pulse, slowly. It grew taller, stretching toward the fog. Its edges rippled as if made of liquid darkness. A low hum emerged from it, vibrating in the air, through the trees, into her very bones. Kanya's skin crawled. She could feel movement at the edge of her vision. Figures flitted between the trees, barely visible. Eyes reflected faint moonlight, glowing and shifting. A sudden gust of wind tore through the clearing. Leaves swirled, forming shapes that looked almost human. Whispers rose with the wind, louder, overlapping, urgent. She could feel their intent. They wanted her to move. But not toward safety. The shadow moved closer, gliding across the wet earth. It left no footprints. The fog followed it like a river. Her pulse thundered in her ears. Every instinct screamed escape. She crawled backward. Her hands sank into the mud. Cold and wet. The metallic scent thickened, clinging to her skin. The whispers changed again. Now they were faster, frantic, almost frantic. Words she could not understand pushed into her mind. She felt them burrow into her thoughts. A cold weight pressed against her skull. Suddenly, the shadow's form split. Two elongated shapes emerged, reaching toward the mist. They moved independently, yet in perfect sync. Kanya could hear the tapping again, now echoing in every direction. A figure appeared directly in front of her. Tall, faceless, glowing faintly in the dim moonlight. It leaned down slowly. Its presence filled the clearing, pressing into her lungs, into her ears, into her mind. Kanya screamed. No sound emerged. Her throat was dry, rigid. The figure hovered, unmoving, yet she felt its eyes boring into her soul. A flash of movement behind her caught her eye. More shadows. Darker. Faster. They surrounded her now, circling in silent anticipation. She tried to scream again. Still nothing. Only the whispers, overlapping, pulsing, urgent. Her mind began to falter. Thoughts scattered. Time itself seemed to slow. The shadow in front of her reached forward. Not with a hand, but with darkness itself. It coiled toward her, stretching and twisting. Kanya felt an icy pressure on her chest, squeezing, suffocating. The forest seemed to close in. Leaves rustled violently. The wind screamed. Figures flickered in the corners of her eyes. Eyes. So many eyes glowing faintly. They moved with the shadows. Circling, waiting. Kanya scrambled to her feet. The ground was slippery, her shoes heavy with mud. Her legs wobbled, almost collapsing beneath her. She stumbled forward, blindly, following instinct. Every step felt like she sank deeper into the forest itself. The shadow pulsed, and the whispers became words. Clearer now. They were commands, warnings, threats. She could not comprehend them fully. Only feel them. A tree loomed ahead, twisted and ancient. Its roots gnarled like claws. Kanya stumbled toward it. She could hear the shadow behind her, stretching, following, relentless. The forest grew darker. The mist thickened, curling around her ankles, her knees, her waist. The tapping sound multiplied. Every direction carried the echo. Kanya's hands reached out. She gripped a root. Its surface was slick, wet, unyielding. She pulled herself up, trembling violently. The shadows paused. For a moment, a perfect, terrifying silence. The whispers stopped. The tapping ceased. Even the wind held its breath. Kanya thought she had escaped. But the silence pressed on her, heavier than the shadows themselves. A sense of waiting. A presence she could not see, but could feel in her bones. Then a sound. Soft, deliberate, like footsteps, but not human. Directly above her. She looked up. The canopy opened slightly. Moonlight streamed down, revealing the figure once more. Its faceless head tilted slowly. The glowing eyes locked on her. The mist swirled violently around it. The tapping returned. Faster. Closer. Echoing from above, around, beneath. Her heart raced, threatening to tear itself from her chest. Kanya stumbled backward, tripping over roots. Fell hard onto the muddy ground. The shadows rushed forward. Not touching yet, but almost. The air shimmered with cold, metallic pee. The cold darkness pressed against Kanya one last time. She could feel it probing, testing her resolve. Her lungs burned with the effort of breathing. Her heart pounded like a drum in the silent clearing. Then, unexpectedly, the wind shifted. A faint glow appeared ahead. Soft, warm light, unlike the pale moon or the metallic scent of the forest. It was gentle, comforting, beckoning her forward. Kanya crawled toward the light. Every movement was heavy, every step a struggle. The shadows hissed and recoiled as if afraid of the glow. The whispers faded, dissolving into the night. She reached a small clearing bathed in soft golden light. The fog lifted slightly, revealing the forest in a way she had never seen before. Trees were no longer twisted and menacing. The mist now shimmered with dew, reflecting the faint moonlight. Kanya fell to her knees, gasping for air. The presence of the shadows had vanished. The oppressive weight lifted. She could finally breathe, fully and deeply. A gentle warmth touched her shoulder. She turned slowly. An old figure stood there, cloaked in light. Its face was serene, wise, and reassuring. You are safe now, the figure said softly. Its voice carried through the clearing like a soothing song. The darkness tests all who wander here, but you have endured. Kanya nodded, tears streaming down her face. Her body shook from exhaustion and relief. The figure extended a hand. She hesitated, then took it. Suddenly, the clearing around her brightened. The mist dissolved completely. Moonlight streamed freely between the trees. The forest, once hostile, now felt alive and protective. You have faced the echoes of the silent night, the figure continued. But courage is not the absence of fear. It is walking forward even when the shadows press close. Kanya stood slowly. Her legs were weak, but her spirit was renewed. The shadowy figures of the forest were gone. Only the whisper of the wind remained, soft and calm. She turned toward the path she had come. It seemed less daunting now. The moon guided her steps. The forest no longer whispered threats. Only the gentle song of rustling leaves and distant streams. Kanya walked forward. Every step lighter than the last. The terror of the night remained in memory, but it no longer held power over her. She emerged from the forest at dawn. The first rays of sunlight painted the sky with gold and pink. Birds sang in the trees. The world seemed alive again, full of hope. Kanya breathed in deeply. She knew the forest could call again someday. But she also knew she would face it with courage. The echoes of the silent night no longer frightened her. They had taught her strength, resilience, and the light within her own heart. She turned her face to the rising sun and for the first time in hours, she smiled. The forest behind her was quiet. The shadows gone. Only the memory remained, a reminder of fear faced and conquered. Kanya walked into the new day. Strong, brave, and ready for whatever awaited her. The night had ended, and so had its echoes.